Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather and today I'm here to discuss my pile of possibilities for things I could read in the month of December. Now, this is always subject to change depending on how busy I am, whether or not library books come in, all those questions. But by and large, these are things that I've given myself to pick from during the month of December. I'm taking some time off from nonfiction since I've read so much for Nonfiction November, which I will be telling you about next week. But I do have a mix of genres and styles and age ranges, but all of these books feel as though they're going to be quite cozy and lovely and comforting, which is what I think sums up the Christmas season. So one thing that I think absolutely fits the Christmas season to me is reading middle grade. So I'm going to start with my stack of 4 different middle grade books that I could pick from. First of all is the second in the Lizzie and Belle mystery series by J.T. Williams. This one is called Portraits and Poison. I read the first one back in September. In fact, it's right here. Drama and Danger, and I absolutely loved it. So I've been saving this second one for this time of year. This is a series that follows 2 real historical figures of color, but imagines what it would have been like if they had actually met at the ages of 11 or 12 and worked together to solve mysteries. One figure is Dido Bell, who is quite famous as the adopted daughter or niece of Lord Mansfield. So she has the ins with high class society, which is quite helpful. And teaming up with her is Lizzie Sancho, daughter of Charles Ignatius Sancho, who was one of the first Black men given the right to vote in Britain. I absolutely love this series. They highlight such important figures in history. They are incredibly relatable to middle grade audiences. The illustrations are delightful, so I can't wait to see where we go in the second book. Now, I may not read this one in particular because it has hit me that it's 4th in a series, but I've pulled out The Time Garden by Edward Eager. This is part of the Half Magic series that I read as a child, or at least I read some. But I really didn't remember much about them, and I reread the first book back in April or May of this year and really fell in love with it. And it turns out I have books 2 and 3 on my shelves, but I really don't remember them. So I would probably go back to them before getting to this one. But Half Magic at least follows a group of 4 siblings who find a coin on the street and decide to keep it, but they soon discover that it only grants half a wish. So you have to be very, very careful when phrasing your wishes in order to get the results you want. And of course, there are hilarious consequences. I don't know if we follow those same siblings with the rest of the series or even the same coin, but they're going to have similar kinds of adventures. The Quentin Blake illustrations are adorable, and the humor in it is quite lovely and cute. So I will continue this series, at least, though possibly not this one. Another series I might continue with is the Morrigan Crow series, the Nevermore series. So this is book 3, Hollowpox, The Hunt for Morrigan Crow. I've read the first 2 now and really enjoyed them. Again, since it's a sequel, I can't say too much about this book in particular, nor do I really want to know. But it's another magical school story featuring Morrigan Crow and all of the wild friends that she makes, as well as the mystery behind her true identity. I had thought book 4 would be out by now, but we are still waiting for it. But as it turns out, that's totally fine because I still haven't read book 3. And since I've been watching the series Mallory Towers online, that's been my comfort watch recently, never having really read a lot of Enid Blyton. I think I read one Mallory Towers book for a children's literature class, but I really don't remember it. The TV series, however, is lovely. I decided to also pick up this copy of Swallows and Amazons that I found by Arthur Ransom. They're not related at all, but they feel like they're in a similar vein, stylistically at least. And to my understanding, this is about two groups of children, one of whom are the swallows. Oh, I see. So they're the Walker children. Their boat is called the Swallow. And they go out on the lake. There's an island in the middle of the lake, and they have many adventures, including fighting off another group of girls from a neighboring family who are known as the Amazons. And I know this is a children's classic in Britain, so I might pick this one up. In terms of adult books that I could pick up, firstly, I couldn't not pick up The Winter Spirits, Ghostly Tales for Frosty Nights. And this is a collection of short stories by a number of different authors. I believe they're all historical fiction. So the ones I recognize are Imogen Hermes Gower, Elizabeth McNeil. I've heard Stuart Turton's name, though I've never read him. Natasha Pulley, Bridget Collins, Jess Kidd, Laura Purcell, Susan Stokes Chapman, Laura Shepard Robinson, and Kieran Millwood Hargrave. Marissa gave me this for Christmas last year, actually, and I've been saving it for this time of year ever since. So I'm very pleased to be reading it. I believe these are all seasonal short stories, but they may also have a ghostly element, feeding into the tradition of telling ghost stories on Christmas Eve. This is partner to the haunting season as well, which I know was very popular a few years ago. In addition, I will probably pick up A Death in Diamonds by S.J. Bennett. And this is the next in the Her Majesty Investigates series, which follows Queen Elizabeth as a detective. This, however, does not follow on from book 3, but it's more of a prequel. And we see her at the beginning of her reign, figuring out how she can solve crime and still perform her royal duties at the same time. So I am disappointed that Rosie, her PA, will not be in this book because I really loved Rosie and her family, but I'm still excited to get into this series. I had to order the British version though. This will not be published in the US. Plus, I wanted to read it at this time of year, not only because they tend to be cozy-ish mysteries, but because I can pass it around my family as well, as my parents also love this series. For other cozy books, I pulled the novella Looking for Captain Poldark by Rowan Coleman, which advertises itself as a quick read. And this is, I believe, about a woman who goes on a tour of Cornwall and notably Poldark filming locations, hoping to catch a glimpse of filming in action, as the series was still ongoing at the time. But I'm assuming she also goes on a journey of self-discovery and possibly finds romance for herself. Sounds delightful. Also, D.E. Stevenson is a wonderfully cozy author that I have not read in a little while, so I thought I would continue her books with The Baker's Daughter, which is the last of these editions that I have. I really don't know much about this one. I'm not sure if it's connected to some of her other books that I've read so far, so I don't really want to look at the back, though I might sneak a glimpse. Okay, interesting. So this seems to be about a young woman who meets an artist who has moved to this small Scottish town and decides to work as his housekeeper to try and get closer to him, as she is absolutely fascinated by him, but will he ever notice her? That sounds a bit simplistic for a D.E. Stevenson novel, so we'll see where that goes. Also, something about Christmas also says fantasy to me, so I've picked up 3 fantasy-esque books. The first being Tolkien's translation of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, which I have meant to read for ages, but I never actually have. This also includes Pearl and Sir Orfeo, and I have no idea what those are about, but we will find out. Sir Gawain and the Green Knight is part of the Arthurian legend oeuvre. Then I also have The Clockwork Girl. This and my next book were Christmas gifts last year that I've been saving ever since. This is, I believe, about automatons in pre-revolutionary France, Versailles. And these automatons may have a more sinister nature to them than people at first believe. And it's recommended by both S.E. Fox, who I have been meaning to read for ages, and Ian Rankin, so that sounds wonderful. And lastly, I have The Weaver and the Witch Queen by Genevieve Gornichek. I loved her version of The Witch's Heart, which is her retelling of some Norse myths from the perspective of Loki's wife. This, I believe, I don't want to look too much at the blurb yet again, but I believe it's another Norse-ish medieval type story about two sisters, one of whom I believe becomes queen, one of whom does not. There's jealousy involved, magical things ensue. I can't wait to dive into this. And I believe my friend Ellie is reading it recently, or has read it recently. So I would love to see what she thinks about it as well. So those are some of the books that I may end up reading in December. Of course, it depends on how busy I am, library books, all sorts of things. But hopefully I get to most of these because talking about them just now made me very excited for them. Let me know down below what types of books you are drawn to this time of year. As someone who never has Christmas-themed books on hand, I'm always curious to see what this time of year says to you. And until next time, be safe, be well, and happy reading. Bye, everyone.